Welcome to Reading. It's a busy commercial town with a lot of history, but its most significant event remains largely unknown. This event is so significant because it led on to the creation of the English Bill of Rights. The event was a battle held right in the very heart of Reading. Streets that you walked down to do your shopping were where the political structure of England was decided. It seems odd that such an event is largely forgotten. Terry Dixon, a local historian, knows all about it.
Today I'm going to talk to you about a particular part and time in our history where Reading plays a very important part. I'd like to take you back to 1685. James II had just come to power after his brother, who was Charles II, had died. Both Charles II and James II were sons of Charles I. Now, when James came to power within a short period of time, he started to make himself unpopular. He was a Roman Catholic, while most of the people in England at that time had converted to become Protestants. And he was starting to act like his father, with respect to he believed he had a direct contact with God, and whatever God said to him was the truth and he could implement it. James II was making himself very unpopular. He'd imprisoned 7 important bishops in the Tower of London, and he was replacing Protestants in power by Roman Catholics. Generally, people were seeing that if he continued in this way, by ignoring Parliament and doing a number of very unpopular moves and decisions, we could end up in another civil war, which nobody wanted. So what people thought was some action had to be taken. A number of learned people got together secretly in the basement of Lady House in the wonderful little village of Hurley, in between Marlow and Henley, to discuss the situation and hopefully come up with a plan to head off another civil war. After their discussion, they decided the best way forward would be to invite Prince William of Orange, who was married to James's daughter Mary, who ruled in the Netherlands, to come to England and become a new king. Following this meeting, which was held in secret, a letter was drafted and signed by these important people and delivered to Prince William. He was very interested in coming to England to become the king for a number of reasons. One was that the Protestant faith was mainly based in the Netherlands, part of Germany and England, not the whole of the UK. He was also very interested in getting his hands on the English fleet. So, after checking out that it wasn't a trap or anything like that, he started putting in preparations to come to England. In November of 1688, his ships left and sailed down the Channel. The plan was to land at the wonderful sandy beaches of Weymouth, but a very strong easterly wind blew on that day and took his ships well past Weymouth. Eventually he was able to come ashore in Brixham. When William landed at Brixham, rather unusually, he landed and unloaded 10,000 information leaflets and a printing press, because what he wanted it to be seen as it wasn't an invasion by him trying to take over the country. He was landing in England to relieve us of the possible way that James was going to go forward and all the carnage and other disruption that was causing. And he started what was to be a lot longer march than originally planned to get to London. James was aware that William had landed, and he started putting in preparations to be able to stop William getting to London. Shortly after raising his army, he sent 600 of these Irish mercenaries and billeted them in Reading, Berkshire. within a short period of time, they had made themselves most unwelcome. There was a general resentment towards Roman Catholics at the time, and this was made worse by them potentially drinking too much, a little bit of womanising and all the things that an army does when it's not fighting. William started his long march towards London, and generally he was raising followers as he marched. And when he got to Exeter, he preached to the people in Exeter Cathedral about what he was going to do. He was going to restore the power of Parliament. He would not interfere with what Parliament wished to do. He also would be fair to both Roman Catholics and Protestants, but he would not allow the Roman Catholic faith to take over again. He continued to march and he set camp in Newbury. Now the people of Reading, with these 600 mercenaries in their midst, were very, very scared. Rumours started to be rife. One of the rumours were that on the Sunday of that week, that the Irish mercenaries were going to round up the people of Reading and were going to kill them. The Irish realised they were not liked, and they sent and stationed sentries all around the town centre to make sure people didn't leave. Fortunately, one young man who was a clothier managed to get out, and he got to Newbury as quickly as he could. And he told Prince William about these 600 Irish mercenaries which were based in Reading town, where they were, and also, very importantly, that the people of Reading would help in any fight that took place, that they would take to the upper windows in some of the buildings nearby as snipers. Prince William was also told where the Irish mercenaries were stationed, that there was some cavalry just after the St Mary's Butts, where we are in Reading at the moment, just down Bridge Street, that there were a number of musketeers behind the wall surrounding St Mary's, the Minster Church in Reading, also in the Butts. There was another force of the Irish mercenaries in Broad Street, and the remaining force were round in the Buttermarket area. So an ambush was planned to attack William's troops. William was very concerned about this rumour that the people of Reading were going to be massacred. So he sent 250 of his crack troops to come to Reading as soon as they can. They marched through the night. But where of this potential ambush, when they got close to Reading, while they were walking down the main A4, the Bath Road coming into Reading, they diverted off so they could come into Reading on the Oxford Road. By doing this, and by keeping low behind all the hedges and the buildings and moving very slowly and carefully, when they got to Reading, they were able to completely outwit the Irish mercenaries and inflict panic on them and a number of casualties. The cavalry that were down Bridge Street were rattled by the gunfire and everything else, and they, together with most of the mercenary forces in the Butts, fled towards Broad Street, where they were hotly pursued by William's 250 crack troops, and also they were shot at as snipers by the menfolk of Reading who had guns, who had taken to the upper windows of the buildings. This caused even more panic, and the rest of the Catholic mercenaries moved to west. The rest of the troop was in the marketplace, where they were attacked once again, and further casualties were inflicted on them. Within a short time, they just decided to flee, and they ran as fast as they could down the A4, the Bath Road, towards Twyford. Within a short period of time, the message had got back to James, and he decided to abdicate. And he abdicated to France first, before he went to Ireland, which was still a Roman Catholic country. The expected direction of attack was what you're looking at now. But of course, with this extra information that Prince William had received, he was able to outwit the potential ambush and take the Irish mercenaries totally by surprise. Generally, in England, this period in 1688 is known as the Glorious Revolution.
After the Battle of Reading, as James had fled to France, William took over a provisional government. William called for an English Convention Parliament to decide the future of the country. Over the previous years, there had been attempts to build upon the rights contained in the Magna Carta. There was also a need to come up with some reasons why it was right and proper to replace James. So there had to be some existing rights that he had violated. The Declaration of Right was prepared. It had originally contained some new laws, but it was revised to contain only sections declaratory of ancient rights. The Declaration was read to William and Mary at the same time they were officially offered the joint throne of England. The Declaration of Right was enacted in Parliament, and this became the 1689 Bill of Rights. Although we tend to view ourselves as living in enlightened times, we currently do not have all the rights encoded in this bill. Like monarchs of old, English parliaments have sought to derogate these rights. The American colonies also adopted this English Bill of Rights, and so it is a current law in the states as they adopted all former laws in the state constitution. When the US prepared its constitution, it adopted a Bill of Rights which was inspired by the English Bill of Rights. Eventually, these amendments became personal rights, and accordingly, American citizens have better legal protection than we have in England. All this from a long-forgotten battle in Reading town centre.